MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
The Elk Fire grew over this weekend, prompting new evacuations. The latest information on that in just a couple minutes. Plus, ballots are in the mail. They might be in your mailbox. We'll take a closer look at the Eastern Congressional District candidates seeking to replace Matt Rosendale. And the search continues for a missing teenager from Gary Owen. The latest on community efforts to find her. Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Monday, October 14th. I'm Augusta McDonnell here with Miller Robson. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah.
We had a great weekend and we're headed into another beautiful week, of course.
Yeah.
With some smoke still and some poor air quality.
Yeah, still dealing with the smoke, smoky air quality down there around Sheridan. We'll show you that in just a bit. The rest of it's going to be hazy out there. Air quality should be passable for the general population, but still, if you have a sensitivity to smoke, you want to make sure you monitor the quality before you head outside. You can kind of see it there, a great shot there down into Billings where we still have some haze as we wake up this morning. Otherwise, not a bad start. Now, yesterday turned out to be a gorgeous day. Our high of 64. Our low of 37, so very seasonal, almost seasonal temperatures there. Top gust yesterday at 13. Going to be breezy the next couple of days. I think Wednesday going to be our windiest day. We could have gusts 30 to 35 miles an hour, and combined with the low relative humidity, elevated fire concerns on Wednesday, so don't cause a spark. Beyond that, we have a wetter pattern coming in, and we need it because we're in the hole for the month and for the year in terms of the moisture. Temperature-wise right now, 43 at the airport, feels like 35. Winds out of the southwest at about 18 miles an hour, 30s and 40s as we wake up this morning. And there's that air quality alert down around Sheridan because of the Elk Fire till 1 p.m. today. So in those areas, if you have a sensitivity to smoke, you want to stay indoors as much as you can.
Okay, yeah, good tip there, Miller. Thanks for tracking all of that. And speaking of the Elk Fire, it did continue to grow this weekend with a 3,500 acre increase overnight Saturday to Sunday. That fire now sits at about 88,000 acres and is 28% contained as of our latest information about 10 hours ago. The priority for crews remains on the southern side of the fire where flames are most active. More than 900 firefighters are continuing to battle this blaze with several evacuations and road closures still in place. And for the first time since this fire sparked, we're getting an up-close look at the dangers and devastation facing crews and residents alike. Our Marcus Kokova takes us inside the fire lines, hearing from the firefighters battling this blaze every day.
These are the sights and sounds. Thankfully, only a few thousand or so in Sheridan County will have to witness this close.
Today we're building some containment lines, so we have this really wide black line outside of the timber.
For nearly 2 decades, Scott Nielsen has been one of the individuals keeping people and their property safe by fighting fires. And for nearly 2 weeks, that's meant the Elk Fire and the faces and places of Dayton.
It's a puzzle, so you figure out what resources you have, what the challenges are, what you have in your favor, and you meld those together and make a plan.
Scott's forgetting to mention, one of the pieces of that puzzle is the knowledge base to be able to make those plans. I mean, just listen to this.
These are what people refer to as ping pong balls that we use to inject with glycol. These are filled with potassium permanganate, and when they get injected, it causes a chemical reaction to create fire. Take it off!
It's people like this who know the business of fire, being called upon from all across the country, putting life on hold, leaving their friends and family to put an end to the Elk Fire.
I'm gone from home quite a bit, probably half of the summer. It's fine. It's just, seeing my summer family.
Well, yes, it might be their job. All you need to do is ask to know. For those in the flames, this is personal.
I go out to help in a community like this because I know fully well kind of stress that people have.
It's definitely near and dear to my heart, and spend a lot of time up here, taking my kids out. Sad to see it all kind of get burned down and a lot of black on the landscapes.
My town's almost burned down a couple times. Help was coming, but help never seems to arrive fast enough.
Marcus Kokova, MTN News.
Marcus, thanks so much. Yellowstone National Park has relaunched the aerial search for a missing Yellowstone National Park hiker. 22-year-old Austin King hasn't been seen in a month after reaching the summit of Eagle Peak, one of America's most remote spots in Yellowstone. And now volunteers have also stepped up to help crews and King's father, Brian King Henke, in this search. Search and rescue teams believe King reached the top of the mountain on September 17th, but due to severe cold and fog, got lost on the way back and never made it to his tent. His dad, while heartbroken, is still clinging to hope and thankful to the surrounding communities for rallying behind this family.
The town of Cody itself is coming in my world. I asked them for an army and I got an army. So, and it just keeps building.
Search crews and volunteers say they'll keep working until snow forces them to stop. And the search also continues for a missing 13-year-old girl from Gary Owen. It's been 1 week since Sawade Burden Ground was last seen, and her family is desperate. They've been searching ever since, saying they have very few leads to go off of. Our Alina Howder has the latest on this search.
Sawade Burden Ground's uncle describes the 13-year-old as quiet and reserved, and that she comes from a family who just wants her home.
She's pretty quiet. I would say pretty shy and reserved, but she's a sweet girl. She has a learning disability. But she's just like a regular teenager.
It's been 1 week since Sawade Birding Ground disappeared from her home in Gary Owen.
Taking it all one day at a time, holding on to hope.
Levi Black Eagle, Sawade's uncle, says searches have been conducted near her home every day since. But being no closer to answers, the search area is now widening.
We're starting to expand the area from which the radius from the house. So we're just gritting in the woods.
And the community has come out in full force.
We've had a helicopter and we had dog teams, we had people up and down the river, we've had people gritting the ground, and so we're looking anywhere and everywhere.
Sawade was last seen wearing a black hoodie, basketball shorts, and purple Skechers shoes.
We do have numerous leads that are being investigated.
Those leads, however, haven't panned out.
A lot of them are, I don't want to say dead ends, but not really leading anywhere. So we're just taking leads as they come and following them and processing all of them.
Black Eagle says any volunteers are welcome in the search for Sawade.
They could come down to the Gary Owen, they call it the Gary Owen store, the old museum. That's where the incident command post is.
As the family prays for her safe return.
She comes from a family that loves her very much, and we're just hoping and praying that we get her home safely.
In Billings, Alina Howder, MTN News.
Alina, thanks so much. And in political news this morning, a new CBS poll shows Vice President Kamala Harris just slightly ahead of former President Donald Trump nationally and in the crucial battleground states. Harris returned to North Carolina Sunday as the state struggles to recover from devastation caused by Hurricane Helene. Trump rallied in Prescott Valley, Arizona, where he focused on an issue central to his campaign, immigration. With Election Day just 23 days away, ballots should be in your mailbox for absentee voters. The Montana Secretary of State's office says 600,000 absentee ballots are on their way to voters across the state. After your ballot is filled out, you must put it in the envelopes provided, sign your name, and then send it back or drop it off. And mail ballots must be turned into the election office by 8 o'clock on Election Day, November 5th. The race to replace Congressman Matt Rosendale in Montana's Eastern Congressional District began with a crowded primary field, but it's now narrowed down to Republican Troy Downing and Democrat John Driscoll. MTN political reporter Jonathan Ambarian spoke to the two candidates about how they're getting their messages out in this sprawling district.
Chances are you've been seeing a ton of political advertising in the race for Montana's U.S. Senate seat. And if you live in western Montana, likely also for the U.S. House seat. But in Montana's Eastern Congressional District, the campaign has played out very differently. Republican candidate Troy Downing, Montana's state auditor, says his campaign is still deciding just how much broadcast advertising to do.
Everybody we talk to is just exhausted from the onslaught of political ads right now. And so, really the question is, how much return you get on that investment when everybody is just starting to turn it off because there's so much of it.
Democratic nominee John Driscoll, a former state lawmaker and public service commissioner, said from the beginning that he'd refuse to accept campaign contributions to make a point that there's too much money in politics.
The first job in Congress is to get rid of all the distractions. And I think a lot of the people who are performing for the public the way they are people that are trying to get money.
The 2nd Congressional District covers much of central and eastern Montana, including Billings, Great Falls, and Helena. Incumbent Congressman Matt Rosendale and former President Donald Trump won by wide margins in this district, and Republicans are considered heavy favorites here. Downing says he's advocating for things like reining in the federal deficit and supporting the natural resource industries. He says he's not taking the race for granted, but he has already been to Washington, D.C. and started meeting with Republicans in the House.
I don't want to be trying to figure out where the water cooler is on day one. I want to make sure on day one we hit the ground running, that we've got a team put together, that I've got the committee picks that I want, the leadership knows who I am, they know what Montana wants, and we can actually get some work done on day one.
Driscoll wants to see abortion rights protected as they were under Roe v. Wade, and says he's willing to take stances that might be unpopular, like expanding nuclear energy development, but opposing the Sentinel project to upgrade nuclear missiles. While some have questioned how serious Driscoll's campaign is, he says he has no regrets about how he's run the race.
I'm not conceding at all. I was amazed at how genuinely gracious people from all political backgrounds were to me. And I think it has to do with people being tired of the adversarial aspects of politics.
There are two officially filed write-in candidates in the Eastern District race, Riley Neal and John Metzger. And unlike Driscoll, both of them are actively advertising, Neal with yard signs and Metzger with billboard ads. In Billings, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Jonathan, thanks so much. The two major party candidates for Montana's western U.S. House seat drew clear distinctions in a candidate forum hosted by MTN. Republican Congressman Ryan Zinke is in his third term representing Montana in the House. Democrat Monica Trinnell, an attorney from Missoula, challenged him 2 years ago and is running again this year. During the forum, the candidates debated issues from housing to immigration to education. They also split on abortion. Trinnell says she wants to see the rights formally granted by Roe v. Wade codified into law at the federal level. Zinke said he's pro-life but opposed to a federal abortion ban, and he has reservations about Montana's abortion ballot measure, which would limit regulations when an abortion would protect the mother's health.
Health, what does that mean? Is that physical health? Is this mental health? Is it economic health? No, what it gives is a pathway for abortions to be conducted moments before birth. That's not where Montana is. Restrictions on the front end mean zero is too harsh. Open-ended is barbaric, and Montana is not there.
Since you have been elected to public office in 2008, Ryan, you have always voted for the most extreme restrictions for abortion, for the freedom to choose when and whether you become a family. You voted to make mifepristone illegal to people in the National Guard. So Montanans who are in the National Guard can't get that drug that's legal here in Montana.
The Western Congressional District covers areas including Missoula, Kalispell, Butte, and Bozeman. If you'd like to watch the full 30-minute forum, it's available on our website.